You hear that? Are you kidding? That is a GC3, a 992 fully modified. Absolutely crazy. So guys, just yesterday, the day before, I had a coaching call with my friend Donovan. And you know, one thing that we talked about is having something to look forward to, because if you're doing the same thing day in and day out, you know, you may not see the progress you're making and you may not be working towards a goal, but setting goals can help motivate you because you're working towards completing that goal. And there's also a measurable difference between when you started and where you finished, okay? Not only that, hope can motivate you, and it doesn't have to be goals related. It can just be a future vision that you have for yourself. Where do you want to be? You know what I mean? Where do you want to be in 3 years? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Most people are really living on a robotic kind of operating mode where they don't think about a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. They're only thinking about today. And if you apply, you know, goals and you apply a vision for yourself, you're going to start to get ahead of people. Combine that with utilizing AI tools to fulfill your goals, and you know, you're going to get there twice as fast. And you need to really consider, we talked about this, Donovan and I, when you're in a situation where you feel powerless, and I have a video on this, you know, what's happening is mentally you're limiting yourself. You're not really thinking about everything that's possible and available to you. And this happens to everyone. You know, people can go through job loss, relationship loss, loss of a close friend, family member. They can get injured through an accident, you know, and they feel like, you know, they just can't do what they need to get out of the hole that they're in. And most of that is actually a mental prison that you're putting yourself in. So giving yourself something to look forward to can move away the dark clouds so that you can start to see the future. You can see into the distance because you know that that's where you're going to get to in the future, and you're going to set goals for yourself. So the action of setting goals, now you can break things into chunks or pieces that you can do, that you can deliver. And when you deliver those things, you build confidence in yourself. So as you're building confidence in yourself and you see the future vision and you're building towards it by delivering goals that you've set, you are no longer in that scarcity mindset where you're limiting yourself. You're really thinking about the future and where you want to go. So keep that in mind, guys. Just remember, you know, even in a situation like this where, you know, the car is down for me and, you know, I do have to seek medical treatment. I have to go through a spine specialist and a chiropractor, and it's difficult without a car to schedule all of that and figure that out. And, you know, just, I know that this is good for my health, that there's light at the end of the tunnel, that this is an opportunity for the channel to grow and be a little bit more diversified in terms of what I have on the channel banner, which is technology, culture, music, perspective. And so for me, it's a way to step back and say, no, I'm not limited. You know, there's so many positives to what just happened. You know, I have been meaning to grow and diversify the channel, and here's the opportunity. If I don't take it, that is the real tragedy. All right, fam. So true to what I was saying before, I want to cover two of the biggest AI announcements of the past 2 months. So in September, what happened is OpenAI announced their advanced voice mode for audio chats for people who are subscribed at least $20 a month to their premium subscription for ChatGPT. So what is the voice model? It is essentially an AI that can speak to you in multiple languages and accents that is convincingly human-like. And so what does that mean, right? What does that mean that we now have voice models that are incredibly human-like? Well, if you are running a business, the number one thing you need is customers, right? You need people coming through the door, or people calling you, emailing you, going to your website. And what is all of that called? That's called lead generation. You're generating leads. You're generating possible sales by getting interested customers through the door. And historically, the number one source of lead generation has been cold calling people. And cold calling in business means that you're literally getting a list of phone numbers and you're calling people, and they may not even have any reference of who you are. They may never have spoken to you before. And you're just hoping that they pick up and that you can talk to them about the product or service that you're offering. And now what we're getting to is a point in time where humans will no longer be cold calling humans. You will have voice models calling humans, and they will be running on a framework of what I call AI agents. So in the past, the people that would cold call, those would be called business development reps, or BDRs. So sales organizations, when you start in a sales company, normally you would start as a business development rep. And that is a lot of cold calling. You're expected to make 100, maybe 200 calls a day to random numbers. Sometimes there's some strategy around which numbers to call. And if we back it up far enough with AI, you could even have a strategic approach using a large language model to get numbers that are very valuable for you to be dialing rather than just random numbers, right? And then dial them with an AI voice model. So I think that within 24 to 36 months, there is a significant opportunity for new businesses to be created that are purely business development rep through voice models. Okay, so BDRs, virtual BDRs. And so what's going to happen? You're going to have AI agents that go out and you give them a little bit of instruction, right? You say, look, I need to get in touch with the product managers and IT decision makers for the top 500 companies in the US in this industry so that I can sell them this software. Go out and find those individuals, get me their contact information, and then build a script to call them, use the voice model to do it, and customize the voice for each person based on any available information on the internet so that the voice would be more receptive, or that person would be more receptive to that voice that's calling them. So maybe a certain person is more receptive to a female with a British accent calling them, right? And all of this could be intelligently driven by the AI that you're giving instructions to in an agent framework where the agent has access to the internet. So what would it do, right? I think it would go out to LinkedIn or other places of information like Zoom Info if it has access to an API, or even just the internet by doing searches on Google, and then collect information about who might be product managers and IT decision makers at those companies that I'm going after. Try to find their contact information. Might have to go to multiple different places, deduplicate. All of that is being done by the AI, which is insane, right? And while it's getting that information, it's also collecting small tidbits of personal information that could be used to tune how the voice model will be going after that person for the cold call. So now you're not just cold calling people with no information in terms of context for them. You're giving your AI agent instructions to strategically call these people and customize the voice that each of those people get on the phone when they're called to make it more receptive, to make those people more receptive to the AI that's calling them. It's just incredible to think about, but we're rapidly approaching that. And so you guys really need to consider that. You could think about lead generation, guys. It is such a good way to make money. Okay, and I'm gonna pause there, and I'm actually gonna give you and put you on some game that I tell a lot of my life coaching clients, which is lead generation is a way to make a lot of money and have a process that you repeat and rinse and repeat. So what am I talking about? Let's talk about small and medium-sized cities across the US that have emergency services that people, when they're in those cities, would call when they're in dire need or some emergency comes up. So what could that be? Let's think about it. It could be towing services. You need a tow, it's usually an emergency. AC needs to get fixed, or heating needs to get fixed. That's usually, HVAC, that's an emergency. Keys, right? You need someone to come and, make you a new key or enter a place where, you're locked out. So all of those are emergency services. So you go and you look at the US and you look at small and medium-sized cities and you say, okay, let me look up the towing service for that city and see if they have a website. Or who's the number one result? Who's the number two result? Who's the number three result? If there's a number two or three result, can I create a website for them that's better than what already exists? Can I use a Google Voice number that's prominently displayed on that website where I can run analytics and detect how many calls are coming in, right? If I make a fantastic website, which by the way, now you can use AI to help you through that whole process of what is the design going to look like? Why doesn't the AI just build it? And then I just refine it by telling it, oh, I think this, even get feedback from another AI for a website that another AI built. And there's so many ways for you to build websites very quickly now, especially with AI. But the Google Voice number is key. It needs to be prominently displayed, and people, the call to action for people on that website, a call to action is what people should be doing when they go to the website. That should be the design, should emphasize them calling that number because it's emergency service. And you're tracking the number of calls that come in, right? So do that for a month, and you can see after a month how many calls came in. You can go to that business, and now you have a business plan. You could say, look, I'm generating over 1,000 calls per month just by running this website. And if you close, or if at least 15% of those people who call really need the service and are going to buy it with you, that's worth X amount of money. So I'm offering you the chance, this would be you going to the business, to get that much more money per month just coming in the door just by you paying me to run the website. And so you look at the math, right? But let's just say that if you're generating 1,000 calls and that business or service makes about $200 per customer, and 15% of that 1,000, is going to come through the door. So what's 15% of 1,000? I think that's 150, right? So that's 150 customers times $200 average per customer. That business could stand to make another $30,000 per month from your lead generating service, which is that website. So why don't you take a cut of that? You can say, okay, if you're making $30,000 per month from that, I want just 10% to run the website. All right, and I don't think I did that properly, but 10% of 30,000 would be 3,000. So your overhead might be something like $50 a month to run the website, if that, because it's usually much cheaper to run a website. And you could make $3,000 a month from that one business. Rinse and repeat. Boom. That's lead generation. And that's lead generation without any AI voice model calling. The AI voice model calling is more for, we're talking about software as a service businesses that need to call up folks. Or even in the old days of finance, stockbrokers, right, would be calling people and be like, you should invest in this stock with me, if you've seen Wolf of Wall Street. So there are so many ways to make money with AI, guys. Lead generation is really where it's at. So that is some deep game that I'm putting you on, okay? The next thing I want to talk about is computer use in Anthropic's Claude model. So their Claude 3.5 Sonnet now has computer use. So what does that mean? That means that the Claude large language model has now been trained to take human level interactions on screens. So if you've never heard of robotic process automation, that's essentially where people who normally do one or more functions a day, which are repetitive and always the same, can have their workflow automated by a bot. And that bot just follows a sequence of steps. But to set that bot up, it takes a human. And so a human has to go in and for each step make sure that everything's perfect, and you have to click here on the window, you then have to enter ABC into this field, then you have to click this next button. The human has to set all of that up. With Claude, what is now possible is you basically tell the AI model that I need to emulate the human interaction for these screens, for these applications, for these fields, and Claude basically builds out that workflow and goes with it. So it's intelligent robotic process automation come to life. And it's incredibly interesting that they're doing this and they're moving forward with it. Claude has been seen as the leader for programming when you're using AI to help you code. And now I think they're going to be seen as a major threat to robotic process automation companies. And so this is a really good line, the future of computer use. Computer use is a completely different approach to AI development. Up until now, LLM developers have made tools fit the model, right? Producing custom environments where AI uses specifically designed tools to complete various tasks. Now, we can make the model fit the tools, which means that the tools that people use, like Microsoft Excel, you know what I mean? SAP, all these enterprise business systems, we can just tell the AI to act like a human in those tools. Instead of creating systems that run by API calls between different systems, you know, the AI is now actually using the user interface, which is incredible. It does come with some ethical concerns, right? But right now, Claude 3.5 Sonnet does not have a level of concern with risk in terms of them going AWOL or going haywire and doing crazy things in the system. But this is a real threat to robotic process automation, because now you don't need skilled developers in RPA who are licensed in the software to build out those bot workflows. You can just ask an LLM to do that. And think about where this can apply. If you're working at a job where you do the same thing every day, day in, day out, but you have access to subscriptions from Claude for Anthropic, for Anthropic for their Claude model, you could automate your own workflow. Go get another 5 jobs, automate all of them, and you would have all the time in the world. And you know, there's no restrictions against doing that. Do you get what I'm saying? And so you could start going to different businesses and saying, what are you doing every day that's routine? Like, what's your front desk doing, with reception when people come in? Is it a medical office where they fill in the same forms all the time? And then you take the form and you have to fill it into a computer system. Well, you could run a business where all that's automated, and you don't need the front receptionist for that function anymore. She could focus on just communicating with people like a human. So I hope I'm putting you on game, guys. I really, really want to do more of this. And stay tuned, guys, because while the car is down, I have the opportunity to do this. And like I said, if I don't take the opportunity, that's the tragedy. And that's what life is. Life is the opportunity that's right in front of us with a little bit of planning for what's ahead. And some gratitude, some thankfulness, a little bit of humility and humor thrown in, and an appreciation for what is beautiful. And of course, I think the dignity that comes with trying to help people around you and just not succumbing to what you might think is limiting you in your life, because there's more out there, and you're capable of it. Okay? All right. Unlockable Character signing off, guys. Take it easy. All right, guys, we're at Polecat. Finally got the GoPro on a good angle on the helmet. We're gonna put the M lap timer app on, and we're actually gonna see what we can do on this track. All right, guys. The layout is different in the afternoon. We have a longer stretch. This used to be a blind turn up here. We're going to be able to go straight now. This is a long sweeping turn. So I'm going to try and use as much of the track as possible. The orange cones help you with the apexes, but I haven't seen the stretch yet, so I'm not just pushing it as fast as possible just yet. Wow, that's crazy. Gotta watch your brakes there, guys. Remember, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. We don't want to be going crazy and fighting the car. We're in all-wheel drive. You can brake and downshift to transfer the balance of the car, the weight. Should use the entire length of the track. This is quite a turn. I'm gonna stay in third gear. Hit this apex. Hit this apex. I'm still in third gear. Still in third gear. Brake. Try to hit this apex. Still in third gear. Sliding a little bit. Come outside. Brake. Downshift. Try to hit that a little bit too far out. This is a very hard turn coming into the basically the longest stretch, which is the opening part of the track. That's a GT3 RS pushing 560 wheel horsepower. Whoa! You have to be careful, guys. Bottomed out there. You'll hook your brakes. You can even lock them up if you're not careful. Chase Daniel here. He's in the GT3 RS. Super fast. Timer WAP is working. We're gonna try and beat our time every time until the tires give out. And I still have to drive home. For all of you who buy a new car and never track it, what's the point of putting PPF on? Spend the money, protect the car, and then drive the shit out of it, right? maneuver the car into each corner and use as much. Detected a crash there. That was hilarious. I wish it wouldn't do that. BMW, why does the car do that? Come on, gotta be able to turn that shit off.